Well, hey there, folks. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Glad to have you here today. Well, I wanted to talk to you about the idea of social distancing. We're in a very sort of special circumstance on the planet right now. Obviously, there's been a global outbreak, a pandemic of a virus. And a lot of people that I've seen recently are kind of in a panic mode, and they're feeling like it's, very dangerous situation. They feel, threatened, and it's understandable to feel like that. But there's another way to look at it, and I think it could be advantageous to you, which is actually how to make the most of the situation we're in, specifically social distancing. We're told to stay farther away from people than we normally would be, not to get together. Where I am here in Boulder, everything is shut down, probably like the way where it is where you are. And I'm used to working in coffee shops a lot. I like to walk around and bike around a lot every day, and I'm constantly going from one coffee shop to another to do my work. And I can't do that right now. And moreover, all the places that have live music at night and stuff like that, it's all gone. So I'm having to adapt my daily routines just like you are. But I think we can actually use this in a way that's advantageous. It's a chance to break our routines, to change the way that we normally live. And there's a feeling you probably have, like I have. You want to kind of get back to that sense of certainty that you had just a couple weeks ago. And we can't. We can't get back to that certainty because we don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know about the fatality rate and the casualties that will be involved from the virus infection, which hasn't reached a peak in many countries yet. So we don't know what life is going to be like in a few weeks. And that probably bothers you if you have this feeling of kind of anxiety and a sense of stress about it. But it actually can be good to get away from a sense of certainty. When we do remote viewing, resonant viewing like I like to call it, you have to give up that sense of certainty for a few minutes, half an hour while you're doing your remote viewing session. And you have to get rid of that certainty because you need to allow other signals to come in. If you're too certain, you won't be open to those intuitive impressions that you get from your subconscious mind. And you won't be able to actually do remote viewing. So we actually deliberately give up uncertainty when we're doing a viewing session. And actually, the paradox of RV is that the more uncertain you are, usually the better your session is, usually the more accurate the data. So by analogy, we could be doing the same thing with that sense of uncertainty we all have now, which is to think different thoughts and allow different impressions and signals to come in from our awareness that we're normally blocking out. We all have these routines that we have every day in one way or another. And while we don't have those routines right now, because those of us, if you work, you can't go into work right now, you can't go to your favorite coffee shops and all of that, you have to have a different routine. Now, depending where you are, you could be going outside more and taking longer walks, spending more time outside. If you're in an urban area, you're probably going to feel a lot more confined to an apartment or wherever you live. But the main thing is we can change our awareness wherever we are and think bigger thoughts and feel bigger feelings. A number of years ago, I wrote a book called Planetary Intelligence. And the whole point of planetary intelligence was to get away from this short-term thinking that we've been so conditioned to believe is the only way to do things, right? More, bigger, faster, more efficient. We can see where that leads. If things are too quick and they're too efficient, it also leads to very efficient virus spread, right? That's not necessarily a good thing. So there's a paradox of this kind of more, faster, better mentality that we've all become accustomed to in modern times, which is that while it seems to create this sort of strength and feeling of invincibility, we can just see how vulnerable it makes us all when something unexpected shows up that also moves through the system very quickly. And so the point of planetary intelligence, the reason I wrote it, is it's really good every day to take some time just to put your mind on a bigger perspective, to perceive bigger things about this universe that we live in and the multiverse. Normally, we're so focused on short-term, small things that have to be done right away, this kind of just-in-time, nanosecond culture that's been created by Silicon Valley. And we think that we have to do it faster, we have to absorb more information, and it creates information overload. Now, you might be feeling information overload right now because you're watching the news and you're looking at the internet while the internet's still working. We hope it stays working. But to check things that often can create a sense of overload that has a tendency to obliterate our sense of timeless awareness and a sense of being part of a bigger, vast universe. Multiverse is the way I like to think about it. And to realize that we live on a planet which is moving through space in all different directions at once, you know, the solar system and the galaxies and all that. We kind of lose that larger awareness of being part of something really big. Not just our social settings, but a kind of planetary setting. And I think this sort of crisis that we're in can lead us to pay more attention to our relationship to the planet, our relationship to nature, our relationship to animals, and take a little time to slow down and reflect on that, and reflect on all the implications, to reflect on all of the impacts that we have on the planet in ways that we're normally not paying attention to. And specifically, how do we relate to nature? How do we relate to other animals? And if we're not paying attention to it, can it lead to some negative consequences like we're seeing now? So the main thing is to not panic right now, to relax a little bit. We have time now, which we may never have again. If you find yourself in a situation where you have a lot more time all of a sudden and you can't do the things that you normally do, you could use that to create new patterns, new thought experiences, and even spiritual experiences where you realize that we're part of this larger ecosystem. And we need to respect it too. We need to respect our ecosystem. We need to respect the animals and plants that we're around. We just can't take these things for granted. We've had this mechanistic mindset where we just see everything as this usable commodity that we can just use up and throw away and use up and throw away. We've had this mentality for decades now. It comes with this kind of, it comes with industrialization. And I think we can see now that if you just treat everything in this mechanistic way, you're going to be missing some things that are really important. And this situation we're in right now allows us to look at all these different things, not just that's immediately in front of us, but the kind of the bigger picture. And that's really the point of planetary intelligence, to focus on the bigger picture, to slow down and realize that you, your mind, your body, and your spirit have a relationship to the larger universe, to the planet, to the ecosystems that we're a part of, and that we are those ecosystems. We are the planet. We're an expression of the universe. And so I would recommend that right now, instead of kind of going along with this general sense of panic that we see around us, or you might see around you right now, to kind of take a step back, take a deep breath, and do things that you normally don't have time to do, and to reorient your mind to see the bigger picture. When we do remote viewing, this is something that happens to you pretty much in every session. You have to let go, and your ego doesn't like it. Your ego conscious mind wants to keep control, but it can't do it. It can't do this non-local type of perception that we get with RV. You actually have to get out of your own way. So you could be using this situation right now to take a break. And just like you, I'm probably, you're watching the news, you're reading as much as you can. There's nothing wrong with that, but you should take some time off from that too every day to expand your mind, expand your awareness, think different thoughts, and see if you're getting some sort of perception of other things that you could be doing, other activities, other relationships, and things that could also be helping you in the long run. Things that you normally wouldn't have time to be thinking about if you were involved in everyday life the way it usually is. So if you're practicing social distancing right now, the main thing would be to not only distance yourself physically from other people in a very helpful and preventative way to prevent the spread of the virus, but you could be distancing yourself from other social thoughts that you don't find helpful, that you don't find useful, that are really a type of baggage that really isn't advancing you in your life anymore. So social distancing doesn't just have to be a negative thing, a thing that makes us feel lonely or frustrated or separated from the pack. We could also distance ourselves from old beliefs, assumptions, and mindsets that we really don't find helpful anymore. So that's my thoughts, and of course I'm happy to hear your comments. Please put them in the box below. And thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care for now, and bye.